All right. Here we go, back again on the other side of the coin. All right, we are back again on the other side of the coin, ladies and gentlemen. And today it's gonna be a banger. It is the international break, which actually, in a weird way, allows us content makers to talk about just many hypotheticals, many different topics. We don't necessarily have to talk about a particular match and do a review and preview. Kind of gets very repetitive, but these are the times where it gives you, certain things to really ponder about. And we're going to talk about something very interesting today. I got my man Ameya here. As you can see, Kishan's not around. Kishan's actually got some uni commitments at the moment, so he's done a Ameya today. But Ameya is here. Ameya, my man, how you doing?
Yeah, we're gonna switch that around. The next time I'm not here, we're gonna say, so we're gonna reverse it around. We're now gonna call that the missing the show bit. We're gonna call it Kishan, because he's not around. But yeah, I mean, I'm doing good. Looking forward to this. Ever since you dropped the idea last week after our show, I've been looking forward to this. So let's see. It's gonna be an interesting stream, that's for sure.
100%, man. I mean, quite a few people on already, nearly close to 20 people. Smash the like button, first of all. Get those likes up to 20 straight away. The more likes will force this particular show to be recommended to more fans out there. And if you're here for the first time, subscribe and hit the bell notification to stay in touch with all my content. Just recently, maybe about less than 12 hours ago, I dropped a video on Conor Gallagher making into England. Obviously, the news broken by Simon Phillips, so do go check that out as well. But today's show, before we do today's show, massive thank you to Strip Bear, who is it's done a madness. Before the show even started, there was a super chat. There's a super sticker here by Strip Bear. Thank you so much for that. For everyone that gives any sort of support to the channel, honestly, I appreciate it a lot. Another one from Strip Bear. Strip Bear, you are doing a madness at the moment. I mean, I do want you to keep all your money as well, but I absolutely appreciate all the support you're giving me, honestly. Another super sticker from Strip Bear, and there's quite a few people here in terms of Distrek is here, Jonathan Jitro, Let's Go Miz. Can't wait for Gallagher to debut. We're obviously going to talk about Gallagher. That's the big news that's going on. And we've got Tumosiele. Big up, guys. Thank you so much for joining Tumosiele. Let me know where you guys are all tuning in from. I think it'll be interesting to see the demographics as well. Today's topic, ladies and gentlemen, it's about, it actually materialized last week off air as soon as Ameya, myself, and Kishan, we finished our stream last Sunday. We sat down and we thought, okay, it is the international break. Let's talk about something different. And then we started talking about midfielders, and then we got into this whole situation. Like, let's talk about future midfielders. And Ameya was buzzing, I was buzzing, Kishan was buzzing. Obviously, Kishan's not here today, but it is what it is. Ameya, my man, first of all, how you doing? And also, this topic about Chelsea future midfielders. I mean, this is going to be quite interesting.
Yeah, it is. I'm already fearing for both of us here. But, first up, to everyone watching this video, they have to make sure that we're talking about the future midfield here and not the immediate future.
What are you scared? What are you scared of, man? Don't be scared about the live chat, bro.
So yeah, I think it's going to be very interesting chat, and yeah, I can't wait to get into it, honestly. And there's going to be a few controversial takes, I think, from both of us when it comes to the future. And we have so many players, at the club on loan who are excelling. For example, Gallagher, and some players who are out on loan, such as Gilmour, who are not excelling because they're not being given the opportunities. Gilmour at Norwich, for instance. But we just have so many players at Chelsea, and it's when I think of it now, it's understandable why Lewis Bate did leave in the summer to go and join Leeds United, because I mean, there's so much talent in front of him.
Yeah, there's just no chance at all.
And full credit to him too, though. I mean, he was on Leeds United bench in the last Premier League match day, and entirely on merit. He was.
I was wondering what's happening, because I heard that he left Chelsea to join their academy over there. But
Yeah.
their academy apparently trains with the first team, so
Yep,
it's a
yep.
bit difficult.
They learn to play the Bielsa way from a very early young age, and it's great to see that he's already made himself at home there, and hopefully he has a very good career ahead of him. But we've got so much talent here, and we're definitely going to be signing a couple here as well, as you can see from the
Mm.
background. But yeah, let's see.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. Amir, before we talk about the future, in order to structure the future, we do need to talk about the present and who may not get the cut or who may get the cut for the future. And I think there's a couple of names that's in my head, but I want to hear from you. I want to throw you in the lines then straight away, and then I'll share my thoughts. At the moment, we have Ruben Loftus-Cheek, Kovacic, Jorginho, Kante. Let's be honest, Saul and Barkley are not gonna. I don't think they're gonna stick around. They're not the future for Chelsea. I know a lot of people will tell me, but me, Saul could just have another, a couple of good games, and things will turn around, and we could turn that loan option, into a permanent deal. Look, man, it is a long way to go for Saul, honestly, for that to happen. With the likes of Conor Gallagher shining big time, it's very difficult to see how Saul gets that chance. So for me, if we were to assume Saul and Barkley are not part of it, you're really left with Ruben Loftus-Cheek, Jorginho, Kante, and Kovacic. So out of these four, who is getting the cut, Ameya? We're talking about obviously not this season. You've already mentioned it's not the present. Maybe not even next season, but the season after. I think there will be some changes. So who are you cutting first of all?
If I'm being brutally honest, right, of the four names that you just mentioned, I would say that Kovacic is probably the only player who will be around in a couple of seasons or 3 seasons time. And I'm going to be very honest about this, mainly because looking at the entire Rudiger situation, right? Rudiger's 28, and we're already hesitating to give him a long-term contract, right? N'Golo Kante is 30, Jorginho is 29, and both their contracts expire in 2023.
Yeah.
And the way that we function, so N'Golo Kante is already 30, so in 2023 I think he's going to be 32 by the time his contract
32. And
expires.
he's already got so many injury issues at the moment. Like, we're
Exactly.
managing his time now.
Exactly, right. And I mean, in all honesty, I can't see Jorginho or Kante sticking around after 2023. I know there's been news all about their contract extensions and whatnot already floating about, but
Yeah.
I think that's sort of a cautious note because, of what a mess of a situation we are when it comes to our defenders right now, isn't it? I think you've got Aspilicueta, Thiago Silva, Antonio Rudiger, and Anders Christensen, all of whose contracts expire next summer. And that's left us in a bit of a mess, I think, which is why we're sort of planning more for the future and hopefully that doesn't happen in case of midfielders as well. But looking at how strict our policy of players over 30 is, right? I mean, we literally
Yeah.
did not break it for anyone, not for Lampard, not for Terry, not for Drogba. And
Surprisingly, we were going to do that for Willian,
for
I think.
Willian, yeah, we offered him a 2-year deal, but he wanted a 3-year deal. I mean,
And guess what happened? Now he's had to go back. Like, did he even
yeah,
play 2 seasons at Arsenal? I don't think he did.
I think it was just the one season, and then
It
he
was
went
just the
back
one
to,
season. Yeah.
yeah. So, I mean, we have seen that in the past, especially when it comes to not giving contracts to aged players. Chelsea usually get it right. I mean, I know that, obviously they're not bulletproof, right? Because
Yeah.
if they were perfect, we wouldn't be in the mess with the Rudiger situation at the moment. So obviously we're far from perfect, and we've let go of certain players in the past too. But when it comes to, these older players, I rarely believe that we've made a mistake. I don't think we've ever let a player go, too soon. So I think that's the sort of ruthless policy that Chelsea functions under. And but considering the players that we're linked with, I think we are going to look at. I mean, I have a feeling that I don't think Jorginho or Kante are going to get too long of an extension. Probably, even if they do, it's going to be maximum of 1 year. But I can't see them staying, after 2024. I think that's like, I think even that is pushing it. In all honesty, but yeah, I think knowing how the Chelsea board runs, I think if no offer comes in, I think we're going to let them go in a free. I think that's just how we run, and that's how we have run sustainably by cutting down our wage costs and promoting certain other players in their name. But to be brutally honest, out of the four names you mentioned, I think Kovacic is the only one who's probably going to be here even after, probably 2023 or maybe 2024. But the other three guys, I'm not too sure. And I know Loftus-Cheek, a lot of people will be like, oh, what are you saying? He's so great and all that stuff. And yeah, he is, but imagine next season if we do sign another midfielder, right? And ideally, if we're going to be letting go of Kante and Jorginho in 2023, then we have to get a midfielder in 2022, so that there isn't so that there's some sort of continuity, right? And it doesn't have to be like a Bakayoko Matic situation where Matic left to Man United and then we got an inexperienced Bakayoko and he couldn't fill his shoes. So we hope such a situation doesn't arise. So I think 2022, we're definitely going to go out and get a midfielder. And after that, I think we're going to see a clear indication of who's going to be in the squad and who's not. But Loftus-Cheek, at the moment, as good as he is, I still, for some reason, don't see him sticking around for too much longer. Maybe it's because he's slightly older than the rest of the younger crop. He and Kovacic are more or less the same age, if I'm not wrong. So I don't see both of them.
27. I think Loftus-Cheek is 26.
Easy.
Just have a quick look. Ruben Loftus-Cheek. Loftus-Cheek age. Kovacic has just checked 27. Loftus-Cheek is 25. He's going to be 26 in January. Yeah, he'll be 26 in January. Yeah.
Fair enough. He might be sticking around slightly longer, but I can't see Jorginho and Kante staying beyond 2023, if I'm being very honest, on a maximum of 2024.
Bro, look, I can't disagree with anything you said. I want to see what the live chat actually has to say about this. I have to agree with Ameya. I think, as much as we want to believe maybe Kante will retire at Chelsea, I think this is a bit of a fantasy world. It would be a mad fairy tale. It would be great to see a world-class player finishing up with Chelsea. And I was on Matisse's channel last week for All You Can Eat Chelsea, and we were just trying to think, I don't think anyone's ever retired at Chelsea, finished things off at Chelsea. They've all gone and left to play for another club. Oddly, they probably shouldn't have, like, for example, John Terry. Didn't need to play for Aston Villa, but he did. Whatever the case was. Frank Lampard went on and even had a short stint at Man City. And obviously then he went to MLS. And so on and so forth. Many players have left. They don't really retire. Didier Drogba played a handful of clubs after Chelsea. Played for like Galatasaray, played in the MLS, played in China, so on and so forth. So I honestly don't think Kante and Jorginho, by the way, Jorginho, every international break, Ameya, his agent just comes out and puts the salt-based style of salt all over, and starts talking about how he's keen. Again, this international break, I don't know if you saw the quotes. It was saying, he's played under Sarri, this and that, and whatnot. Look, I think Jorginho will go back to Italy one day. He will, and that's fine. I'm not salty about that. I'm not hurt about that. I'm happy the time he's given. It was a bit up and down, but now it's exponentially going up, and the 2021 year has been unbelievable for Jorginho. But I don't think he'll stick around, and I'll go even one further. I kind of don't want him to stick around after his contract. Like, I want us to evolve away from that. I completely appreciate Jorginho for what he's done, and I appreciate everything he's doing now. But if we're talking about 2024 season, so not this season, not next season, I think by that time his contract finishes, I'm okay for him to go. I really am, because I want us to evolve and take our game to the different level. And this is why we're going to talk about Chelsea's midfield future. It's a bit of an hypothetical, but it could possibly happen. So, Ameya, I'm with you. With Kante, with the risk management that we're doing with him, I can't see how he lasts any longer with us. As he's going to get older, game time's going to start reducing one game at a time. And I don't even know if Kante will appreciate that after a while. I don't think he's that type of a player that'll be like, okay, Chelsea plays 3 games a week. During November, December, January, it's sometimes, definitely 3 games a week. And if he only gets to play 1, maximum 2, then he even might put his hand up and say, you know what, maybe it's time for me to go. But I will say another thing, Ameya, and to the live chat as well. I want to see what you have to say about this. I don't think Kovacic will stick around either. I think he'll probably have the 2 more years. I'm just having a look at Kovacic's contract expires 2024, 30th June 2024. So 2 more seasons. This season and next, this season, 1.5 more seasons, really. So I don't know if we're going to be giving him another long-term contract. I feel like once again,
it would be
Yeah.
2.5 years though, right? Not 1.5. 2024.
Oh,
That
sorry,
means
2.5.
yeah,
Yeah, two seasons. 2 seasons.
yeah.
We're in 2021. What am I talking about? So yeah, I think that will probably be it as well for maybe Kovacic. That's just my personal view, but I can agree with you that he is probably the most likely to stick around, along with Ruben Loftus-Cheek. I think a lot of people are saying I think Kovacic stays. We've got here from Phantom Reacts. Pre saying 2.5 seasons, but he's not 1.5. There you go. Yeah, 2.5 seasons. What else is everyone saying? Shingo saying, how will you replace Jorginho? I think he'll extend until 2025. He's such a unique type of player. Gilmore needs. See, that's the thing, Shingo. We are thinking about unique type of player. We're thinking about a particular formation style that we're dealing with now, but I think we will just evolve, and we'll get to that. Now, let's bring this up, this particular squad builder. Ameya, and also the live chat. I want to know, and let's get to a compromise. Are we going to play with this register style of a player, or are we, or we will probably play that, but just have a different personnel and not really Jorginho. I think, players like, for example, Jude Bellingham, very good with the ball, man. It's not like he can't be a register. Tchouaméni, very good with the ball. It's not like he can't be a register. So let's not sit here and say, oh, no one can do Jorginho's role. I think in the future, they will. We're talking about the future. So in the future, there could be players that could do that role. So, Ameya, in the future, how do you want Chelsea's midfield to look in terms of formation? Let's start from there, and then we'll start figuring out what players need to be. Don't forget the academy boys as well. Don't forget the players on loan. Have them in the mix. So go for it, bro.
I think 4-3-3. I'm a huge advocate for the 4-3-3. I keep saying this time and again, it's not taking away from the fact, anything about what we're doing
already
right
got
now.
the first comment here, Roby. Miz, keep the 3-4-3. Works. No need to change. I mean, what do you have to say about these type of comments, Ameya?
I mean, it does work, but it works for the personnel that we have at the moment, right? And we know that Thomas Tuchel, when he was at PSG and when he was at Dortmund, he likes to tinker around, right? He never had one fixed formation, which is what we're doing at the moment, right? Thomas Tuchel always liked to change as per the game. He went 4-3-3, he went 4-2-3-1, he went 3-5-2, he went 3-4-3. So Thomas Tuchel is is a manager who likes to tinker around, right, with his formations. And although at the end of the day on the pitch, it might not mean that much of a difference because the players occupy the half spaces that they're told to in training, but on paper it makes a huge difference. And as of now, I don't think that we have the personnel to play 4-3-3 effectively, and which is why
because you need like a lone DM that's going to be able to be robust laterally. I don't think we have that.
Exactly. And not just that, right? Even under Sarri, we played 4-3-3 where we had, Jorginho as the deepest and Kante and either Kovacic or Barkley or Loftus-Cheek occupying that other side. I don't think N'Golo Kante has it in him, in that engine to sort of run around for the entire game like he did under Sarri either.
He's not disciplined enough.
Exactly. So I think we don't have the players right now, which is why we're sort of, sticking on with this 3-5-2, which is also why we keep getting linked to midfielders every single window. And it's no coincidence. There's no smoke without fire. We're 100% looking for, a profile of midfielder which will help us evolve, right? Which will give us more options, which is why we get linked to Rice and Tchouaméni and such other players every single window. Everyone thought that
also,
the Rice...
Ameya, we don't have a profile of a midfielder that can play in a back four.
Exactly.
Do you know what I mean? A lot of people will say, well, Jorginho plays in a back four for Italy, though. But then I'll also go one step further. We don't have defenders that can play in a back four. So it's a bit of both. We don't have midfielders who can play in a back four. We don't have defenders who can play in a back four. If we got defenders who can play in a back four, maybe we could do with the midfielders that we currently have. Do you know what I mean? But yeah, continue, bro.
Exactly. And it's also because, in the Premier League, it's slightly different. And as much as people try and play down the whole, Premier League is not better than other leagues sort of stuff, the international, the international football is completely different, right? And I mean, in the Premier League, you don't get a moment's rest, right? You make the slightest of errors and you're going to get punished for it. I mean, take our latest game against Burnley, for example, right? We switched off for literally 1 minute after having 25 shots. our defenders basically went to sleep for exactly probably one attack, and we
Yeah.
conceded and we dropped points in that. So I think that's how it is in the Premier League. So it's not the same, but we don't have the personnel to play forward at the back in this system, and there's no harm in admitting it, right? Because it's not like we're slandering anyone by saying, oh, you can't play forward at the back, you're a bad player. They are excellent players, but
Exactly. Yeah.
people need to understand that just saying that we don't have the players to play forward at the back is not slandering them in any way. But yeah, I think 4-3-3 is definitely the way to go. I hope you agree with me too. I think you do, right?
I do, man. I do. I have to say, look, I don't mind the five at the back. I think the five at the back that we have right now, Mia, and the live chat, I think you guys will agree as well. We've not seen the completeness of five at the back. We are starting to see some form of it where the wing backs are scoring a lot more goals and assisting as well, with Reece James and Chilwell more inverted, getting into the box. We are also starting to see Rudiger making those darting runs from the LCB position. We have not really seen the RCB really take off that way. That's another evolution where you get overlapping CBs, which we saw under Sheffield United with Chris Wilder. That's another facet of three at the back where the CBs bomb up along with the wing backs. It just becomes a chaos, very, very attacking situation. That is something that can happen with a five at the back down the track, and obviously then the double pivots can sort of tuck in and give it that defensive sort of shape. There's a lot that can be desired in a back five. But having said that, I do want to have more attacking personnel. Do you know what I mean? I understand back five can be very attacking, and it's great to see Rudiger drive. I don't necessarily want to see Rudiger drive. I want to see another attacking midfielder drive. Do you know what I mean? Ameya, like instead of an extra CB, I'd rather have an extra midfielder that will drive through midfield and pose a bit of a chaos. So for me, it's not always about the formation, but it's more of the personnel, and that at the end drives the formation. Anyway, so Ameya, I completely agree with you, my man. 4-3-3, three-man midfield is what I want to go for in the future. Let's have a quick look at the live chat before we start looking at what are the personnel that we're thinking. Guys, let us know how you would want the midfield to look like. Do you still want to continue with the double pivot? Do you want to see the 4-3-3? Let us see. I want to bring this particular. By the way, that particular comment from Roby was actually quite interesting. Will you be interested in someone like Julian Weigl to replace? See, that's another player that can do Jorginho's role. A lot of people are saying, "Oh, well, no one out there can do Jorginho's role." Rodri literally is doing Jorginho's role in Man City right now, and he's absolutely killing it for Man City.
He's improved a lot this season. I think last season he was so bad. He used to cost them on so many occasions, but I've held my hands up this year. I think he's been an excellent player this season.
Improved big time. And Julian Weigl is another player for Benfica who does similar sort of stuff as Jorginho does, and is a bit robust as well. Can be box to box at times, Julian Weigl. So we've got Almighty Blue FC saying Tuchel is, however, looking to play wing backs as wildish midfielders. That's working. So I really doubt if 4-3-3 is tried anytime this season. Not this season. Probably not this season. But down the track, I think there could be some evolution. Vishnu is saying 4-2-3-1, what we should go for. We need to play Havertz, Mount, or any other CAM to create. Yeah, look, 4-2-3-1 can easily be transformed into a 4-3-3 as well. So it's that one player coming into midfield. So definitely understand. Let's see what else everyone else is saying. Jorginho replacement is Gilmore from Marvo. We've got Omar Khan saying, Weigl, you must be joking. I love this. I love this when people start talking like this. Our players are in good position, but it's like they like individual brilliance like Man United. It's like they like individual. I'm not really sure exactly what this particular comment means from Google Ethu, but it is what it is. Strip Bear, Tuchel has played 4-3-3. There you go. He has played 4-3-3. Okay. Before we get into this, ladies and gentlemen, let's have a quick look at this. 17 likes. We've got nearly 50 people. Smash the like button, guys. We're going to get straight into selecting some players, and I would love to see what you guys have to say. Smash the like button to 50 straight away, guys. Let's see if we can try and aim for 100 likes by the end of the stream. But let's get to 50 first up, and check out Ameya and his socials in the description with his YouTube channel as well. They make fantastic content out there. Please follow. Ameya, 4-3-3 is what we've selected. I'm going to let you have the first dig at the center midfielder. Think about everyone that we have, the DMs and players in loan, whatnot, and also think about the market. Chelsea future midfielder starting, I suppose. Obviously, then there's players in the bench and whatnot, but we're not going to go that deep yet. From the start, who is your holding midfielder?
It has to be Declan Rice. I mean, honestly, there's no other player you can go with.
It's going to be Declan Rice for Ameya. This is where we're going to have a very, very deep discussion. I mean, why is it Declan Rice for you? Let's get to understand that first.
Yeah, I mean, first up, right, Declan Rice is an excellent player. I've been saying that entirely, right? I mean, if you don't want Declan Rice at Chelsea, I mean, this is directed to the other people, obviously, then fair enough, you can give logical reasons for that. But you can't just say that Rice is a bad player, because he's not, right? He's literally been one of the best midfielders in the Premier League this season, and I don't think anyone can argue that. West Ham are currently in the top four.
The only thing I'll argue about that is, Ameya, he hasn't been playing as a holder. Tchouaméni has been playing as a holder. He's more of a box-to-box. I could understand if you said him as an 8, one of the 8s, but him as a holder, not that he can't play that. He plays that for England.
Exactly.
But I don't really like him there, Ameya. That's my thing. But yeah, continue.
But yeah, I think Declan Rice, to be fair, if we do switch to the 4-3-3, I don't see Rice as playing as one of the 8s. I know that, he is sort of playing, he's playing in a pivot right now, right, with Tchouaméni. I think that's how they usually play.
He's playing in a pivot, but he's more the advanced player. Tchouaméni is not the advanced player. That's why he's scoring a lot more goals and assists.
Exactly. But I think Declan Rice can definitely play the holding player's role. And we've seen that in the past as well. And he's been pretty good at it. He's improved his game massively. And I think that, there is no out and out DM if you look for it like that. Tchouaméni, I see a lot of comments here saying Tchouaméni.
He's done that for France.
He has, but he's once again not a lone DM player. If we watch him for Monaco, he's always starts in a pivot alongside someone else, and he covers so much ground as well. So, if anything, Tchouaméni is more like a Kante replacement, in my opinion, at least, because he covers a lot of ground. And although he's not entirely built like Kante, I think Tchouaméni is slightly taller and stronger. But Tchouaméni has much better ball progression and passing and all of that stuff. So I see Tchouaméni as more of probably one of the 8s, and Tchouaméni can also be molded into the deepest. This is where I have a bit of a confusion, right? Because I love both these guys.
Like Tchouaméni.
I love Rice and Tchouaméni. In fact, I want both of them to sign for Chelsea, but I'm not sure how they would coexist.
This is the first time you're going to hear a particular fan that actually likes Rice and Tchouaméni. So you can like both. You don't need to necessarily choose one
and also Jorginho. And also Jorginho. Before.
It's a mixed bag for you, bro.
It is. But yeah, I really like both of them, and I wish both of them could join, and I think they could coexist. And if we do get both of them, then I definitely see Rice being the more deeper player, and Tchouaméni being the one that bombs up and down, because he does that for Monaco and for France as well. He played alongside Pogba, didn't he? So Pogba was the one who went up and down, and Tchouaméni sort of ended, right?
He actually played as the deepest midfielder, helped the defense out massively, progressing the ball from deep to be the connector from midfield to offense. He did it really well, laid it off nicely for Pogba. I was like, very mature. That's a very mature sort of, performance that he showed for France. Not this recent international, the last international that I'm talking about. I don't know.
It was the Nations League final, right? I think
that's it. That's it. Yes, that's right. Against Spain, yes.
Yep. So I think Tchouaméni is an excellent player, and he can be molded into this role as well. I think, a lot of, especially I think the Spanish media, they're dubbing Tchouaméni to be Casemiro's replacement at Real Madrid. So I think he can definitely be molded into that sort of role. And
Casemiro, that's a proper lone DM. Oof.
Exactly. Casemiro, and even if you remember peak Fernandinho when Pep first came to Man City.
Oh,
That is the player that we should. I mean, if we could like give Fernandinho like some anti-aging serum and then stick him in, then I would 100% do that.
I must say, you know
But
what? Kudos to Fabinho as well. Fabinho is a very
yeah.
strong lone DM too.
Exactly. So, we don't have that, right? That's what
Don't
Miz
have
and
that.
I have both been saying. So, I think that's the sort of profile that we should be looking for. I've gone for Rice now, but I absolutely wouldn't mind Tchouaméni in there as well. I think either one of them is good by me. And both of them haven't been sitters this season for their clubs, but both of them can be molded into that because they do
Is
have the.
is Rice going to be a particular sitter for you that's going to be capable of building from the back, helping out the defense? Do you think that's my only question? Do you think he's capable of that? Because I think Rice is probably defensively better than Tchouaméni. Not
Yeah,
to say Tchouaméni is not good. Tchouaméni's defensive qualities are quite good actually. But Amir, that factor of Rice playing as a lone DM, and this is where you need to sell it to me because I'll stick him as a lone DM because I'm starting to think who are the other lone DMs out there?
exactly.
There's not that many, and defensively, Rice is very strong. He's got an engine. That kid honestly has an engine. Only issue is, can he help build up from the back? Sell it to me, bro.
I think he can. I think he definitely can. He's been learning and growing. And I mean, if you watched him last season and this season, you can see that there has been a clear improvement in his close control, in his passing range, in his ball control, everything, even his dribbling. I think he's been the least dispossessed midfielder in the Premier League, if I'm not wrong. So I think.
The guy is
So
built obviously he's got that background from Chelsea Academy. And if you look at all the Chelsea Academy players, they barely get dispossessed, Amir. They barely get
exactly.
dispossessed.
Exactly. So Rice definitely has it in him, and I mean, let's be honest. He wants us to go out there and sign him, and we want to sign him. It's just a question of West Ham budging, and because West Ham's trajectory has been so good, especially in recent times, they've got a new investment as well from Czech investments, and then now they're in the top four. They're on top of the group in Europa League. So looking at their growth trajectory, if Declan Rice does sign a new long-term contract at West Ham, then it's going to be very, very difficult for us to get him. But if he doesn't, and I think his current deal expires in 2024, if I'm not wrong. So I think
with an option to extend as well.
Yeah. So it's going to be very difficult if he does sign another extension. But if he doesn't, then I think he's definitely achievable. If not, then I think Tchouaméni is the one that we should be going for. I think Tchouaméni should have been signed in the summer. I was saying this from the beginning of the transfer window.
I think it was very close as well. I think it was quite close.
It was, and it's a shame it didn't go through. And we decided to put all our eggs in the Koundé basket, but that deal didn't go through either. So I think next summer we should definitely be looking at Tchouaméni. I think no questions asked, and get him in, and he could definitely be molded to play that lone DM role as well. And I think he would actually suit us. Even if we don't shift the 3-5-2, 3-4-3 system for this season and next season, as long as Jorginho and Kante are still at the club, Tchouaméni can slot in there too and provide an excellent, be an excellent backup or actually even contend to be one of the starters. And he'll have one bedding in season as well for when Jorginho and Kante leave. So I think getting Tchouaméni in next summer would be a no-brainer. So the Rice situation is slightly complicated, although I think he can definitely do
the price is
the job.
very complicated.
It is. The price of rice is very complicated. Okay, sorry, apologies.
Rice is not cheap.
But yeah, I mean, getting back to your point, Miz, actually, I think the 4-3-3, we're going to have so many more players who can, build up themselves, right? I think currently it's because we're playing this system that our midfielders are being forced to progress the ball. But if we do switch to a 4-3-3, right? And I'm going to say, it's a suspense, but I'm going to say that Mount should be one of the eights. That's where I see Mount's best position in as well. So I think Mount dropping in and collecting the ball, Gallagher dropping in and collecting the ball. I don't know if the DM would need to have such a key role in ball progression. I think he should just be someone to just mop up the ball and make simple, effective passes.
Yeah,
exactly. We haven't seen that at Chelsea. That's because, when Sarri came in and Jorginho was the deepest playmaker, and you could see the regista sort of stuff blowing around. And now in this system, our midfielders are told to progress the ball forward. So we haven't had that lone DM sort of like, the Essien days, the Makelele days. So we haven't had that. And I think, which is why Chelsea fans seem to forget that the deepest of the three doesn't have to be, someone who controls the tempo of the game. So I think cohesively it would work a lot better.
Mikel Ameya was probably one of the most underrated player in our
Yeah.
history of our
Yeah.
football club. He did the simple things so effectively. It was not eye-catching, much like Jorginho, but obviously Mikel was a lot more physical in terms of defending and taking the ball off other players, and a whole heap of just many different defensive attributes. But those type of players are so key, so vital. Just get the ball, lay it off. Get the ball, lay it off. Just simple 3-yard passes, 2-yard, like just small passes. And that means a lot. It just, releases the stress from the defense when they're getting pressed. They can have a particular player like, Mikel type of player that can just take the ball and release it and just carry it on. So it's very important. Would you give this particular player a shout at all? Basuma from Brighton, because I know he's had some recent issues. Let's just forget about that. But then he's back into the field. I think recently he played against Liverpool. I did notice him play against Liverpool, so I'm not really sure what has happened with his issues in recent times. Maybe it's dropped off, maybe it's not, who knows. But he's back in playing. He's another top player, I'd say. I mean, does he get a shout? Ndidi is another name that I just saw in the live chat. Any of these boys get a chance in your sort of shout at all, Amir?
I think Bissouma is not one who could play load DM. I think if we're getting Bissouma would be a good fit in our 3-4-3 system currently. I think he would be an excellent fit there, and I also think he's a very good player. I think he's been linked to top clubs every window, so there's no doubt that he's an excellent player. But I think if we do switch to the 4-3-3, then I can't see Bissouma playing as the deepest of the three. I think he would have to be as one of the eights. That's where I see Bissouma's best position, at least. Ndidi is a good shout. I think Ndidi has played the lone DM for Leicester as well, and I think he's pretty good at what he does defensively too. But once again, I don't know if he's that great with the ball. And I know, like you said, the Mikel role, and Ndidi is brilliant defensively, right? Don't get me wrong at all. But on the ball, I still think that he has quite a long way to go. Unlike Declan Rice, who's shown immense, improvement, and he's been wanted by Thomas Tuchel, like literally, right? And it's not some. It's. I mean, everyone said that these rumors would die once Lampard goes, but Lampard went, and Declan Rice is still, heavily courted by Chelsea and Thomas Tuchel. So I think, obviously Tuchel sees something in him. I think
we can't hide the fact that Declan Rice has improved immensely. We can't.
Exactly.
It'll be, if you disagree that he has improved, then you are actually hating. You are literally hating on him. I have been a bit of a skeptic on Rice previously because of the way we play possession-based football. We touch the ball a lot. Is he capable of receiving and taking more touches and doing all the stuff that we do in the build-up and connecting from midfield to offense? But I also have to admit that what he has been doing for the past couple of seasons, especially this season, he has looked better, even with the ball. As you said, control of the ball, doesn't get dispossessed. These are some very, very important aspects of the game, no doubt. Okay, Ameya, let's now talk about the two aids on both sides. We'll go with the LCM first up. Who is it going to be for you in the future? As a starter, don't worry about, because obviously we'll have bench and one. No, but maybe we can also do the bench. We can set up a bench. But as a starter, who is starting for you on LCM?
Money Mace. It has to be. I think for me, Mason Mount's best position is in a midfield three. I know some players say that some
do you think LCM,
fans
though?
say,
Do you think LCM or RCM for Money Mace?
I think he could put in the shift either side. I think let's put him in RCM. I think I just said LCM because he might be able to cut in on his right and affect play more. But I think the right side is where he was most effective. I think under Lampard as well, that's where he was. Yeah. So I think unlike what people say that he's very good as an inverted winger and whatnot, but I think he is much better in he is the literal definition of an eight. But it's because we don't have eights in our system right now that he's being forced to play as one of the tens.
Gallagher get a lot of people are starting to say, Ameya, that Gallagher will be the biggest competition for Mason Mount, and I have to agree as well, Ameya, because they've got similar traits: engine of a body, immense in pressing, counter pressing. The madness that Gallagher's doing with Crystal Palace, the way he pressed the living daylights out of Man City, I was in awe. He literally panicked their defenders to make quicker passes. And that's how he stole the ball for the first one. And then obviously he snuck in beautifully inside the box to slap second one. I mean, to be the man of the match in a match against Man City, playing for Crystal Palace is no small feat at all. This is something we need to take so seriously, to the point where he's now made it to the English national team, albeit for Mason Mount pulling out. I get that. But Ameya, this rise of Gallagher is something incredible, and we can't disregard this anymore. I mean, you look at the English team, Ameya, not many players have actually come outside of the top sort of clubs. Very few. I think Connor Cody, Calvin Phillips,
Tyrone Mings for some reason.
Yeah, Tyrone Mings, Connor Cody, and Calvin Phillips, and Jordan Pickford, to be honest.
Probably Jude Bellingham as well, right? I think.
Oh, Jude Bellingham is in Dortmund, but that's a very good team. So I'm talking about outside of the Premier League sort of elite teams. Dortmund's a very good team. I know they're outside of the Premier League, but still an elite team. It's very big for Conor Gallagher from Crystal Palace to make it to England. Like, I mean, does he pose a bit of a threat for Mount in the future, Mia?
I think so. I think if you're looking at similar profile of players, then Gallagher's definitely in there, and I think he will still form part of our first team. But like you said, right, we're going to have 3 games a week, and it's going to continue next. I mean, especially next season, we have the World Cup in November, right? So I think it's going to be a lot more strenuous in the players, and I think with more number of games coming up, there's always new trophies introduced. There's stuff for World Cup to be played every 2 years, and there's a lot of stuff going on. So I think there's not going to be a clear-cut starting and bench. I think there's going to be few players, and there's going to be the ones that obviously are preferred over the others. But I still think that Gallagher, although he won't be the first choice, I think he will still get a lot of minutes. And I think if he does manage to surpass Mount or something, then fair play to him, because Gallagher's an excellent player, right?
So for you, he's in the squad, that's for sure.
He's in the squad for sure. He better be in the squad next season. I think the way that he's playing, and I mean, just look at his rise, right? How many players have that? He spent half a season on after graduating from the academy. He spent half a season on loan at Charlton Athletic, which was at the time a lower sort of championship team.
Absolutely
killed it. And then he was so good that they cut his loan short and sent him to Swansea, who were battling promotion in the championship. And then he spent half a season there, excelled there, impressed the manager, impressed the fans. And then this season, he's gone on to Crystal Palace in the Premier League, and he's got called up to the England squad. He's been one of the best midfielders in the league this season.
I thought he was probably their best player as well.
Fair enough. Yeah, fair enough. I mean, that was another experience in the Premier League. I think it was because it was under Sam Allardyce that it was a little,
Yeah.
I mean, under Slaven Bilic, you could see that he was really expressing himself. But once Sam Allardyce came in, then I think he sort of adopted a more defensive approach. So that's not on Gallagher. But this season, Crystal Palace system, wonderful style of play under Patrick Vieira. He's been excelling. He's been the glue in the team. And I think
the way Vieira talks about Gallagher,
exactly,
he loves him. It's almost as if Vieira sees the kind of player he was, like, box to box, robust. He loves him. He absolutely loves Gallagher.
Exactly. And I think Gallagher's pretty versatile as well. And I think he should 100% be in our squad next season. I think Crystal Palace are going to try and, they're going to sell their whole squad to try and romp up enough money to sign Gallagher on a permanent next summer. But we better not cave in.
Ameya, for like, say, 35 mil?
No, there is no way you're going to sell a player like Gallagher. I think just look at his development arc, and he's been incredible. And it's been the same from the academy days. I remember watching him and Gilmer together in a pivot in the UEFA Youth League. So he can play there too. So I think he's just so energetic, so versatile. He has end product as well. So I definitely see Gallagher sticking around.
Fair enough. Gallagher is a squad player, so we haven't forgotten him. Mason Mount gets the nod at the moment. I saw a really, really good comment here. I think it was Roby again. I can't really remember. Oh, it was Jonathan, actually. This was a really good one. Gallagher has outscored any Chelsea player. Means like that. This is quite important. And this is what I said about Gallagher's loan. If you want to break into Chelsea, someone like Conor Gallagher, The one thing that will stick out is goals and assists. If you get absolutely ball out in Crystal Palace, which he is doing right now, I believe 4 goals, 2 assists. Last 2 games, 2 goals back to back. 1 goal against City, 1 goal against Wolves. And he scored some big goals, actually. West Ham being behind 2-0, 2 goals from Conor Gallagher. This is the thing that I said. If you're going to break into the Chelsea team, goals and assists are the only way for a midfielder to break in, because that's something that our midfield doesn't necessarily have. So it's quite interesting. For me, look, you've somewhat semi-sold me with Declan Rice. I might have gone with Tchouaméni. So let me just quickly.
Fair play. I don't think I can argue if you put Tchouaméni there either. So
I mean, you like him, so I can understand that. I would have gone with someone like Tchouaméni. I would stick with Mason Mount, but I do need him to start banging in goals and assists. I need him to do that. And I know our current formation, he plays as an inside forward, but he does drop into midfield. But, he gets opportunities to score. He obviously scored that hat-trick against Norwich. Fantastic. And in recent times, he's been out because of his wisdom tooth. So can't take anything away. I do have to say, though, you take away that Norwich, hat-trick, it's been a slow start this season for him. And I think he understands as well that he needs to bang in goals and assists this season. That is something he needs to give from midfield. It's very important. We can't have yet another player that doesn't provide that. We've got quite a lot of players that doesn't do that. We don't need yet another player. Even someone like Kovacic has been banging in the assists this particular season because of the progressive passes. So for me, I'd go with Tchouaméni and possibly Mount. So we can keep it as it is. Let's bring it back to your particular selection, and then we'll go back to your left-sided midfielder, Ameya. Why and who is it?
I think.
By the way, just before you start, a lot of people are saying Anjorin. I don't know where this is coming from. I love Anjorin, but I can't see him play for us in midfield. I feel like he's more of a winger. I don't know. Just quickly, your thoughts on that, Anjorin, Ameya. How do you see him?
I think everyone, for some reason, keeps comparing him to Loftus-Cheek, and I don't know why they do that, because he's played as a winger every time he's played. He's played every time under Lampard as well. Exactly. So I think he does have the qualities to excel there, but I think we have to keep a lookout on his development. I think he's gone to Lokomotiv Moscow, but he's suffered an injury, so he's come back. So I'm not pretty sure how it's all going to work out for him. I don't think the Lokomotiv Moscow move was the right one for him, if I'm being too honest.
By the way, he got injured, right? He's out for a while now. So did he do his ACL, didn't he?
No, not ACL. I think it was something else. I don't think it was his knee. I think it was another serious injury, though. I think a couple of months or 3 months at the very least. And I think he's back at Cobham for rehabilitation.
They've cut the loan, right? It's finished. Because obviously they don't want to keep paying. So we'll see what happens over there. Ameya, before we move on to the LCM, this is another one. Billy Gilmour, we've not really talked about. I'll give you my thoughts, then I want to see what you have to say. Ladies and gentlemen, I personally didn't want Billy to go this season. I didn't see the need for Saul. I thought Billy would have naturally got some game time anyway, and we don't have a natural sort of replacement for Jorginho in our current style. So I thought Billy could do that. But since he left, we all sort of bought into the fact, okay, Norwich, Daniel Farke, he plays sort of similar style, possession base, build up from the back, press, perfect for someone like Billy Gilmour. But then now Daniel Farke is gone. And on top of that, Daniel Farke, he wasn't actually using Billy Gilmour for the past 6-7 games. So we don't know what happened there. Now I'm at a point, Ameya, where I'm thinking, you can't go on a loan and not really, whether you get the opportunity or you don't, whatever the case is, Ameya, for me, if it's not an impressive loan, I can't picture him coming back to Chelsea and then put his hand up to start. So I would potentially want him to go on another loan. Because for me, how do I go from him not featuring at all for Norwich, come back to Chelsea and now, okay, bad boy, now you start for us? I think that's quite crazy to say. So for me, it would have to be another loan if it's an unsuccessful loan at Norwich. What's your thoughts?
Yeah, I think I was actually warming up to the idea of Billy going on loan earlier on. I was one of the few people who thought that it would be a good loan move. And I mean, Norwich always do this. They sign a couple of good players, and I was very impressed with their transfer business actually this summer. They signed Rachika, they signed Josh Sargent, and so many other players, and even the left back. I think Giannolis. I think he was a pretty highly rated Greek left back as well. So they got in good. Even Les Malou. I think he had an
Yeah,
excellent season in League One last season. So they sold me the dreams, man. I was, in my preseason
sold you
predictions,
the dreams.
I thought they're going to stay up. Honestly, I thought they're going to stay up. And in preseason as well, we could see Billy Gilmore, putting in fantastic crosses and balls into the box. And Thomas Tuchel always said that how much he trusts Daniel Farke, like what a close friend he was. So I was convinced that Billy was going to have a good loan. But as always, I think they started off poorly, and Daniel Farke continued making his mistake of playing far
Yeah.
too aggressive and far too attacking. So I think, it's turned out poorly. But let's see how it goes. I mean, we've got Dean Smith in now. Like, worst case, if Dean Smith doesn't, I mean, he's not official, but I think he is the most likely to become the manager.
I think it's going to be official very soon. And if you
Yeah.
look at the way Dean Smith plays, I mean, you look at his Aston Villa midfield, McGinn and who was it?
It was
McGinn.
Douglas Luiz, I think, who played the deepest.
I
And
don't know if he's going to fancy someone like Billy Gilmore. I think he wants robust midfielders.
Yeah, I think off late as well. I mean, they made so many midfield signings too, right? They signed Morgan Sanson and so many other players, but then he still favored Jacob Ramsey over him. So
There
I
you
think
go.
it's very clear who Dean Smith prefers, and I'm not too sure if he'll be keen on Gilmore. But I still think, as that Gilmore's best position is as one of the eights, right? I think it's not as the
As a
deepest.
six. You don't think he's a six?
I don't. I genuinely don't. I know that he's played there before, and even in our current system, and people see him as a Jorginho replacement, but he's not exactly the Jorginho type of player. He's more of a Fabregas type of player, right? And you wouldn't stick Fabregas in your deepest midfielder in a midfield three, would you? I think he would definitely be one of the eight, sort of like how Barcelona used to play earlier. So I think Billy Gilmore's that type of a player. So I still think that he needs that one loan move to sort of click for him. And the problem with going on loan to a lower Premier League teams is that they're always going to prefer pace and physicality over technical attributes. So he has to go on a loan move where it suits his style of play and he impresses, and then he comes back, because we know how highly Thomas Tuchel rates Billy Gilmore.
Pranav just said Dean Smith will play Norman.
Yeah, he will, and so it's definitely.
Did we just lose Ameya? I think we might have just lost Ameya. Hopefully he comes back, ladies and gentlemen. Meanwhile, you're back. You're back.
Yeah, sorry about that. Just got disconnected. But yeah, where was I? Oh yeah, Gilmore. I think he's still a fantastic player. He's still so young, so I think he would definitely benefit from a loan move somewhere which suits his style of play, and hopefully he's back. And I can definitely see him featuring as one of the eights, because he will offer something completely different to the players that we have. That cutting the lines with his passing sort of player. I think he should go on loan to La Liga, if I'm being very honest. Some top team in La Liga, that's where he's going to, probably hone his craft even more and then come back a better player.
He needs to be in a team that's going to hold the ball a lot. And
yeah.
Norwich kind of, as you said, sold us a dream. Norwich kind of gave us the feel that they were possibly going to hold the ball a lot. But then when you really deep it, Ameya, they just don't have the quality to hold the ball for too long. They're coming up against so many quality teams that just holds the ball a lot better than them. So and puts them under immense pressure. And when you put Norwich under immense pressure, they don't have the quality to defend well enough, and then it all crumbles. And there was a few games that I saw, especially the Watford one, where Billy Gilmore featured. He was actually involved in a couple of the goals that they conceded. And I was like, ooh, that's very uncharacteristic of Billy Gilmore. That doesn't happen to him at Chelsea because of the strong defense that we have and because of the amount of possession that we hold. And that's where I started to think, is this really a right loan for Billy Gilmore? Because he's now part of a team that's just getting peppered after peppered after peppered. So, yeah, we'll see what happens. So, for me, Billy Gilmore, the final thoughts? For me, it has to be another loan, Ameya. What's your thoughts? Billy Gilmore, another loan or? part
Yeah,
of
I
the
think
setup
another.
next season.
No, I think another loan probably would be the ideal option. I think we'll have to see how we handle our transfer business next summer, but I think another loan would be on the cards. Hopefully, it's a loan to a place where he does excel. But let's see. I think if you're talking long term, definitely a squad player. I think he should
Yeah,
be
yeah.
in our squad. I mean, in building this squad, I think he should definitely be a part of the squad. But I just don't see him being a starter, considering how his progression is going at the moment.
No, absolutely understood. All right, LCM, my man. Who is it going to be for you and why?
I mean, I don't know if you're going to get this player, but it has to be Jude Bellingham for me. I think.
Oh, I love this. I love this.
I
Nah, man,
mean,
this is a shot and a half, man. The way he's twerking with Reece James, and I don't know about you, like I'm a lot more active these days in Instagram. I don't really enjoy Twitter anymore, to be honest. It's just weird for me. It's just
yeah,
stupidity. At least with Instagram, it's just pictures. People are more nicer in the comments. Nicer as in the discussion's a lot more civil as opposed to, aggressive. And I get to see a lot of the players are actually quite active in Instagram as opposed to Twitter, especially with the stories that Instagram has. Jude Bellingham and Reece James, they're inseparable. They're everywhere together. And it's all over Instagram. And I always comment, I'm like, oh, here we go, Reece, talk him up, Chelsea, look at this. And I don't know, maybe he could get convinced. But I like this shout, man, massively. I do want to ask you, though, Mia, could he possibly play as a lone DM, though?
Jude Bellingham, I would say probably not, which is why I've stuck him in as one of the eights. I think he does have the work rate, and he does also occasionally chip in with the goals and assists. Actually, he's been chipping in with a lot of goals and assists this season for Dortmund.
Plenty, yeah.
Plenty. So I think he's a fantastic player, and there's still a long way to go for him. But I think he can be sort of that player who, not exactly box to box, but covers a lot of ground, helps out in the defensive phase as well, and also chips in with the goals and assists. So I think he's that sort of player. So I don't see him as the lone DM personally, but I mean, he does have the characteristics, right? I can see where you're coming from, especially when you look at the England setup. I think he does have the characteristics to sort of play there, but I still feel that he would be better as one of the eights.
I feel like he could be very disciplined to not just leave his position empty and leave the CBs exposed, especially when you play four at the back. I think he has the ball playing ability as well. Very, very good. At Dortmund, you have to be able to play with the ball. Some of the things that he did last season as well for Borussia Dortmund, especially in the Champions League. Do you remember against Man City? He was one of the bigger.
He had a goal disallowed too, didn't he? I think.
Bro, that run from midfield, he should have got that goal. Edison absolutely fouled him. Seriously, he should have got that goal. And Jude Bellingham, that particular game, was the standout player for Dortmund. So, and this season, his connection with Erling Haaland, his stuff that he's doing in the midfield is being fantastic. I can completely understand why you're putting him as an 8, because he has the work rate to be box to box and chipping in with assists and goals. But yeah, carry on, my man.
Yeah, that's where I'm coming from at the moment. I mean, we'll get to the bench players later before everyone comes and attacks me. I do have a couple of players in mind for the bench as well. So we'll get there. But I think this should work, at least in theory. I think it should work. And it could also be England starting midfield as well. I mean, I'm going to get Brexit shouts now, won't I? I'm going to get the Brexit shouts, but I'm Indian. So I mean, just putting it out there before they do come around. But I think in theory this midfield could work really, really well, and we have to see if we can lure Rice away from West Ham. And I think Jude Bellingham will leave. I think Dortmund is that sort of club that won't stand in a player's way when they want to leave. I think they go to Dortmund with the agreement that they're going to develop and then get sold to a bigger club later. So I think Jude Bellingham will move on, but the issue is, I think every top club is going to be in for him, and it's not just English clubs. It's because he's such a good player that even the Bayern Munichs, right, even the Real Madrids, even they're going to be in for him later on.
Bayern
exactly.
Munich, Real Madrid, Man City. I'd be very surprised if Man City's not in the mix.
Man City will be there. Man United will be there because they do have the financial prowess, and Chelsea will be one of the clubs interested for him. So it's going to be hard to get him in. Potentially, if they do stay up this season,
Those
yeah.
Saudi monies, bro. Those Saudi Arabian money, they're buzzing.
Yeah, they are. So it's going to be interesting to see where he ends up. That's the sort of issue I have. Is that he's going to be a fantastic player, but can we beat everyone else to his signature? Is the real question.
Nah, man. Look, I like this shout. Jude Bellingham is one player I've liked for a very, very long time now. Ever since he made his debut for Dortmund, he's been balling out. Even when there was all these rumors about Sancho and Haaland, I was more thinking, go get Jude Bellingham. Like, I think that's the more important buy there because he's going to be quite a special player in that midfield. So I completely understand. He's just so good on the ball, man, and his know-how of making the runs into the box is now getting better and better. I can see a few people saying, especially Shubha saying, Jude will start BVB at least until 2023. This is fine because we're talking about 2024. We're talking about at least a couple of seasons. For the next couple of seasons, I think it'll still be Kante and Jorginho. This is more of Chelsea midfield future. So, Ameya, I'm okay with this. As I said, I would have probably gone with a
Tchouaméni.
Yep. So Tchouaméni, Bellingham, Mount, possibly even something like this. I mean, let me know what you think about this. Think about Ruben Loftus-Cheek is he capable of starting week in, week out? We'll see. Obviously, this season we'll go and we'll see how it all turns out. Even this is a robust one, man. Tchouaméni to be the holder, Bellingham on one side, Loftus-Cheek like that. That is powerhouse right and left sort of midfield that can go box to box. I mean, thoughts on this before we start settling on a 3 and then we talk about a few subs. And then obviously we'll close things up. But talk to me about this combination. Do you like this one? Does it have enough balance?
I think it does. At least in theory, it should. I think Tchouaméni, at the back, I think he can cover up some ground as well. Like you mentioned, lateral movement. I think Tchouaméni is pretty good at that, so that shouldn't be any issue. I think Bellingham as well. He covers up a lot of ground, so I wouldn't mind seeing him there. Loftus-Cheek as well. We have seen under Sarri that's his best position, right? He was excellent that season, so yeah, it could work. It could work. It's just whether Loftus-Cheek can. The issue is right now it's going good, it's going great. I love Loftus-Cheek, but the issue is if he does get one more injury, and I hope it doesn't. But exactly, there's no he sticks around at Chelsea, which is why I don't think he will still be at the club that far into the future, especially if we're looking at some of the players that we're signing at the moment, right? And Loftus-Cheek needs to have some balance in his career too, right? He can't always be that second choice guy at Chelsea. I mean, he's already 25. By now, he should have established himself as one of the first team players.
He'll be 26 this season. By the time we're talking about this, he'll be 28.
Exactly. So I think by then you have to have established yourself, or else you're going to find yourself like Lingard. He's 20. He's what I think 28 or something, and he's not a first choice for Manchester United. He's not. He's in and around the England squad.
Your prime is just going away. Do you know what
exactly?
I mean?
It's going away. So I think that's going to happen with Loftus-Cheek. If either he should step it up and establish himself as a first team player, or he should leave and go somewhere where he's respected and is a first team player. Because how long are you going to be a second choice player? I don't see it. But yeah, that's just my thoughts. I mean, I'm not hating on him, but I'm just being brutally honest.
No, I think it's quite reasonable what you've just said in regards to Loftus-Cheek. It'll be very interesting to see can he absolutely nail a position down on a regular basis and play multiple matches as well. Do you know what I mean?
Yep.
Like we've not seen him play multiple matches on a back-to-back situation, and that's because of his injury history. So we'll see what happens. I mean, Ameya, I have to agree. With your lineup. Declan Rice, Jude Bellingham, Mason Mount. Logically, you've sold the project to me. I understand this as well. I think the only disagreement was just Tchouaméni, but I think Declan Rice is not that far away from all of that, to be honest. And I think Declan Rice is probably, if we're talking about a lone DM supporting a back 2, like back 4, but obviously the 2 CBs, probably someone like Declan Rice is someone you'd probably rely on with the likes of Mount and Bellingham to support on the sides. I think that midfield trio, England midfield trio as well, so that chemistry should be there in regards to carrying it in the clubs. So it's a quite an interesting situation that's happening here. So I'm happy with this. Live chat, let me know your future, 2024 we're talking about. Would there be a Kovacic, Jorginho and Kante? Personally, we think they're going to be moved on. 2024 season when that kicks off. Jorginho has always been talking about going to Italy, so that's probably going to happen. Kante, God knows what's going to happen in terms of his risk management and the lack of time that he's already seeing. We're managing him right now. So what happens in a couple of years' time, we don't know. So let us know your thoughts in the comments, and I'll bring up some of the comments. Ameya, let's now talk about some subs. So this is the starting lineup. Who are going to be your 3 subs for these positions right now? So we'll take these ones out.
Yep. I think, first up on the right. Okay. The middle one.
We'll go with the right.
The right's Gallagher. I think there's no absolute doubt about that. That has to be Gallagher. And which is why I said earlier, right? I don't want to say as subs exactly. It's sort of going to be rotational. That's what I mean.
They're going to get plenty of game time.
Exactly. Both of them are going to get plenty of game time. And then,
let's not forget, injuries and whatnot will happen. So people will get game time. Yep.
Exactly. And I think on the left, though, I want to say Gilmore. I mean,
you like him as an 8, huh? You like him as an 8.
Yeah, I really like him as an 8. I think that's what we've always compared him to. I think even earlier on, right, you could always see that he was called the Scottish Iniesta. He's called Scottish Iniesta for a reason, because Iniesta always used to play in that slightly higher up position. And
how's the Scotland setup, by the way? Where does he play for Scotland? He plays with McGinn, doesn't he? McGinn plays.
Yeah, I think he does play alongside McGinn.
And is he the one who advances? And
there's McTominay as well.
Oh yeah, McTominay. Just have a quick look.
I think McTominay plays as one of the centre backs for Scotland, if I'm not wrong. I think we might have to look it up, but I do remember McTominay playing as one of the centre backs.
They played against Moldova, right? I think yesterday. Yeah, Gilmore McGregor. Who's that?
I'm not too sure.
Is that Conor McGregor, the UFC fighter? We've got Patterson, Robertson. They play with the 3 at the back.
Yeah, they do. So Tierney plays as the left centre back, and
McGinn plays as a front.
I think it's probably because it's Moldova that it's sort of this situation. But usually, I think it would be. I think they play more of a 3-5-2, if I'm being honest. I don't think Patterson is the right wing back. Patterson plays up front, so
I don't know if Google's got this right.
Yeah, I think. But I think it's 3-5-2. I remember in the Euros when Scotland played England, it was a 3-5-2. So they play with Patterson up front. I remember that, and I think McTominay was one of the centre backs at the time. I'm not really sure.
And in all honesty, if Billy plays as a lone sort of DM, he'll need to put a bit more like I know he could be that Jorginho-esque kind of player, but whether that's what he wants to do, as you said, Scottish Iniesta. Iniesta was more of a, attacking midfielder as opposed to a deep lying playmaker like a Pirlo type. He wasn't like that. Iniesta found himself into the box many a times. So I can understand that. Who's the guy in the middle for you?
I mean, I want to say Tchouaméni really, but I mean, he wouldn't be a substitute though, would he? So
And someone like Declan Rice will probably play a lot.
Yeah, I think Declan Rice will definitely play a lot. So I'm not too sure about that, man. I'll let you tell your 3 names, and then I'll probably nick your DM.
Do you know what? If it's gonna be someone who's gonna be a rotational type and maybe get his opportunity here, then maybe can impress. Here's a name for you, for the ladies and gentlemen out there in the live chat as well. Someone that we have not talked about, and someone who's doing decently in Venezia. Ethan Ampadu.
Fair enough.
Why not? I mean, I don't want to hate on our youth players anymore. I know he's not really from our academy. We bought him at a very young age, but nonetheless, he's a young player. Why not give him an opportunity? I think he can do similar. At the moment for Venezia, he's playing that role as well. I'm pretty sure he's playing as the deepest midfielder there. And in recent times, there was a fantastic assist that he put on from deep to their striker. So
They beat Roma, didn't they? I think.
they beat Roma. Yeah, they beat Roma as well. So yeah, for me, Conor Gallagher, Ampadu, Billy Gilmore. We've not really talked about Ruben Loftus-Cheek. So Ruben Loftus-Cheek in a couple of times, a couple of years, something. You thinking he's probably going to move on, Ameya?
As much as it hurts to say, I think he is. I think that long into the future, I mean, I just don't see where he fits in entirely. I don't know if I'm communicating this properly, but it's not that he's not a good player or that he can't be a nailed-on starter. It's just that how long will a football club like Chelsea keep around a player who isn't going to start week in week out and isn't our first choice player, right? We're just not the sort of club that gives out pity contracts.
So what would change your mind for Ruben Loftus-Cheek? Would it be if he actually breaks into, because right now it's Kante, Jorginho, Kovacic. Would you change your mind if he actually breaks that three and becomes one of the mainstays in between the three? Is that when you're going to start thinking that, yeah, he's got a future?
I mean, honestly, I think he sort of already has, right? Especially at the Burnley game, everyone was disappointed that Jorginho and Kante started together and not Loftus-Cheek. So I think that it's going to be interesting, this Loftus-Cheek situation. He's sort of broken in against the low blocks, but I'm still slightly concerned about, he makes those driving runs forward and he leaves gaps in behind. So I'm not too sure if he's fitted, if he's appropriate for a pivot at the moment. But as an 8, I definitely see him. The moment I will be convinced is when he plays 3 games a week without getting injured. That's
fair enough.
The second he does that, I'm convinced that he's going to be around in 2024. But until he does that, he's always going to be a will he won't he player. And at 25 or 26 rather, you can't be a will he won't he player.
And you know what, Ameya, it's a very good point that you said. How long is he going to accept being the player that only plays once a week?
Yep.
I mean, is he going to resort to that situation where, yeah, I'm happy to just be playing football. I'm happy to play for Chelsea and I'm happy to just play once a week. I mean, surely there'll come a point where he'll be like, no, I want to play more than once a week. And if Chelsea can't give me that, then I'll find somewhere else to go and get that because it's my prime years. I want to be playing week in, week out. So it's an interesting point, Ameya. It really is. We'll see whether he's able to break that situation. This is a very important comment here, because we've not talked about cover. I kind of said, I don't know if I see him after 2024. I think he may be moved on as well, or he may move on. But Amir, you were sort of saying that, you were alluding that he could stick around. Do you think he probably sticks around as one of the guys as a squad player, rotational sort of based player? That 2024 time.
I think so. I think, these are all sort of inexperienced players, although they will be experienced by the time we're in 2024. So not too much to worry on that. But I think Kovacic could stick around. I think, a lot of people are, in fact, we're considering him to be the same age as Jorginho or Kante, but he's not, right? He's a couple of years or 3 years younger than them. So I think he probably will stick around. Although it's going to be interesting.
Kovacic is 27.
Yeah. So I think it's a tricky situation with Kovacic. I think he's an excellent player.
He'll be 29 by then.
Yeah, and he's an excellent player, right? So I mean, this season he's probably been one of our best players before his injury. So it's very hard to not include him in. But at the same time, you can't exclude any of these.
If you were to, who would you exclude out of this to put in Kovacic?
Hypothetically, it would ideally have to be Gilmore, right? I mean, stylistically, they're the most similar. And I think at the moment, Kovacic offers a lot more than Gilmore does. I think although Gilmore's excellent and we saw that last season, but Kovacic, he's improved his defensive abilities, tracking back. That's been a huge improvement from last season. I used to criticize him a lot.
Defensive stats are underrated as hell.
Exactly. I think last season he got a lot of stick from me for not tracking back, but this season he has, and he's been excellent. He's got end product as well, because now there's that focal point in attacks someone for him to connect with, I think it's really improved. So I think Kovacic has been a very good player, and if it does come down to it, then it would have to be at the expense of Gilmore, unfortunately. But we do know how good he is, so let's see.
Yeah, look at this one, Broly. Really interesting comment. Controversial opinion. I'm selling my cover stocks in the next 2 years. Look, for me, it's not really controversial. I'm talking about next 2 years. This season, cover is balling. Next season, he's probably balling as well. Season after, I don't know. Maybe we keep him. Ameya thinks we probably will. I am a bit up and down because I'm thinking about football is all about football doesn't wait around for people. Do you know what I mean? It does not wait around for people. It's about evolution. Unless you're an absolute standout, then you probably stick around. Is Kovacic an absolute standout midfielder out there? I don't think so. He's a fantastic midfielder. Don't get me wrong. But he's not a world beater type of a midfielder that you must have in your midfield. Do you know what I'm trying to say? So don't take it the wrong way. Kovacic is a fantastic player, but I'm looking forward to the future. But he could very well be still in the mix, being an experienced player at that age. By the time this comes around in 2 years' time, 29, he could still be in the mix, giving us that experience in midfield, which will be very, very important. But so it looks like if we were to take Kovacic, the bottom line here, ladies and gentlemen, as you can see, it's not easy. This what we've just done. This is not easy. You can imagine what Thomas Tuchel will have to go through at the end of this season and then the season after. We've got so many plethora of players and players that we're linked with. It is not easy, but this is probably more or less the backup or the rotational players that we look for: Gallagher, Ampadu, Kovacic. We've given you guys the reasons as to why some of the players have not made it. But just to finish things off, we're going to go back to our initial setup. And then we're going to pose one last question. Who was on the right? Mount.
On the right, yeah.
And on the left was Jude Bellingham. Okay, one last question for the live chat. Smash the like button, first of all. We've got 35. We just need 15 more likes to get to 50. If we can do that, I think that's a fantastic feat for this particular stream. So let's get to 50 likes, just another 15 more likes. You guys have been enjoying it. The live chat has been buzzing with comments left, right, and center. So let's get that 50 likes. Check out Ameya and his socials in the description. Ameya, this particular midfield, do you think, if this is the setup, does it dominate the Premier League in a couple of seasons' time?
See, that's very hard because there's going to be so many other alternatives to consider, and the issue is they're not the only good players out there, right? There's so many young talents out there that can be brought in and molded, and especially the likes of City and like you mentioned earlier, Newcastle as well could be in the mix.
Would you say that's somewhat of top caliber talent though? Like, you're right, there are many great players out there, but these three, would you say top range?
Yeah, I think they are definitely the top range of the midfield prospects out there. And I think they will be the midfielders that will dominate the next decade, which is to come, I think 2020 to 2030. I think this is going to be these are probably going to be the best midfielders in that decade. But the issue is, right, for example, the Tchouaméni Rice situation. If we do sign Tchouaméni and then miss out on Rice, and then Rice goes to, for example, Man City, then he's going to dominate there. But for instance, if we sign Rice and then miss out on Tchouaméni and Tchouaméni goes to Man City, then he's going to dominate them there. So it's a really complicated situation, in my opinion. So there's too many alternatives to consider. Pep said that he's going to be leaving Man City 2023. So who do they bring in? Do they bring in someone like Ten Hag or Hansi Flick to continue that style, or do they go for something? It does. I mean, on paper, I think it looks like it's going to be him. But, can he continue Pep's system as well? I mean, we know he played that with Ajax, but, Pep did it previously with Barcelona and Bayern Munich. Doing it with Ajax in the Eredivisie is something else completely, right? The Premier League is a whole new level of playing style. So it's going to be interesting to see, and whether Ole sticks around till then or not, or if they get a competent manager in.
Can you imagine if Ole Gunnar Solskjaer sticks around till then? Oh my God.
That would just be sad, honestly. I'm already feeling bad for United fans because, especially me, as I grew up, right? Manchester United was always that team, right, in England.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
this, although I am a Chelsea fan, there's no harm in admitting that United were that team. So
They were. They
it's
were.
it's hard to see them like this at the moment. But let's see who's at the helm there. And let's see who's at the helm at Liverpool. Maybe Gerrard. He's at Aston Villa right now. Maybe he gets promoted to
Very
Liverpool
true.
manager.
Very
So
true.
there's a lot of stuff. I mean, we're not even talking about our own manager, right? I mean, we know how fast things can change at Chelsea. So I mean, it's interesting. So let's see. There's too much stuff to consider, but in my opinion, at least, based on all the things that I like to analyze about football, I think this midfield trio would dominate. Ideally speaking, at least in theory, yep. I think looking at their development curve as well, I think this midfield will dominate this decade.
Now, brilliant, brilliant. I have to agree as well. What a fantastic show I've had, honestly. Mad conversation. Really enjoyed it with you, Ameya. Hope you guys in the live chat have enjoyed it equally. We're only about 11 likes away from 50. Please smash the like button, get the likes to 50 straight away. Hope you guys have enjoyed this in this international break. It's something different to talk about. Hypotheticals are always fine. No one needs to take any of this personally or anything like that. There's been no slander on any players. It's just some normal discussions. That's what it was. Once again, I hope you guys have enjoyed this. Smash the like button. Tomorrow we'll be back. Either I may have another video at the end of in the evening UK time, generally around 8:30, 9 p.m., 9:30 p.m. Do look out for that if there's any particular news. Just like yesterday when the Conor Gallagher news happened, I dropped a particular video. If there's anything worthwhile sort of giving my opinion, do look out for that. And also, Down Under Football Crew for Mondays is back, and tomorrow we have a very, very special guest. One of the members from All You Can Eat Chelsea, Eunice. Eunice will be part of the show, and we are going to talk about exclusive, giving it out first time. I was sort of thinking I'll probably wait till then. We're going to do best 11, Premier League best 11 till now. So season so far, best 11, so which is going to be quite interesting. Another interesting sort of topic to talk about in this international break. Who would be in the best 11? What formation will be used? Which will drive a lot of the conversation. So do look out for that. Eunice will be around. So yeah, and check out Ameya and his socials in the description. His YouTube channel. Please go out there and follow, subscribe to Ameya's channel. It's in the description. The link is there. Just click on it, take it to the page, and you subscribe. Until next time, everyone, take care.